आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Last year we discussed selected verses from the up from the 13th chapter of the Gita. This year we plan to discuss the 14th chapter of the Gita. So every year we take one chapter. The 13th chapter was called Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, the division of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra means a field. The word in Hindi Kheta, for example, comes from Kshetra. And Lord Krishna explains how our body, mind, sense complex is all a field of knowledge, something that we objectify, meaning that within our own self there are two entities. We generally look upon ourselves as a single entity, as I. But in this I, in fact, two entities are involved. There is a mutual identification of two, where there appears to be one. The example is, we take an iron ball, which is round in shape, black in color, cold to touch. If that iron ball is placed in a furnace, in course of time, iron ball gets heated, becomes red hot. The red hot iron ball is called a fireball, which looks like one entity. Although there is a union of two entities, iron and fire. Looks like one fireball, which is a union of two entities, iron and fire. The round shape, the fire appears round and iron appears red and hot. But then the red color and the heat, they belong to fire. Although iron appears red and hot, the red color and the heat belong to fire. Even though fire appears round in shape, that round shape belongs to iron. There is a mutual identification between iron and fire. Each one seems to take on the attributes of the other. The iron seems to take on the attributes of fire, that's why iron appears red and hot. Fire appears to take the attributes of iron, so fire appears round. Fire by itself is formless. Fire doesn't have a form. But it seems to be the nature of fire to assume the form of whatever it is that it becomes united with. If fire got united with a square piece of iron, it would appear square. A round piece of iron would be round, and so forth. It also seems to be the nature of fire to as though acquire the quality of nature of iron to acquire quality of fire. So if a person doesn't know that there are two entities involved, he may think there is only one thing here, namely fireball. He may think that iron burns, iron is red and iron burns, that's what he may think. But when we know, those who know what iron is and what fire is, they know that the round form belongs to iron and not to fire, and the red color and heat belong to fire, not to iron. The fire pervades every grain of iron. So we cannot say that here is iron and here is fire, because where the iron is, there the fire also is. Therefore, you cannot physically separate them. But mentally we can separate them. Mentally we know that entity, fireball, is a union of two entities, iron and fire. In our mind we know that the round form belongs to iron and the red color, heat belongs to fire. This is how we know the two entities and two in our mind. So this knowledge is called a Viveka Jnanam. Viveka means separation. So in our mind we separate the iron and fire and know them as such. Something similar is happening in our own self. What we call I is a union of two entities. What are two entities? One is this body-mind-sense complex, which is comparable to the iron ball. Other is the self or consciousness, which is comparable to fire. Just as fire pervades every grain of iron and therefore makes iron red and hot, so also consciousness pervades every cell of this body-mind-sense complex and enlivens this body, enlivens the mind and sense organs. So iron, which is black in color and cold to touch, how it becomes red and hot in contact with fire, and so also this body-mind-sense complex is insentient by nature, becomes sentient, enlivened in the presence of consciousness. And just as fire, which is formless, seems to assume a form in contact with iron, fire seems to assume round form. Similarly, consciousness, which is limitless, formless, appears to be having a form of the body-mind sense complex. Appears limited to the body-mind sense complex. Therefore, what is my perception of myself? What is my conclusion about myself? What is my opinion of myself? That I am a conscious being, that I know, limited to this body, mind, sense complex. So that there is a union of the two, the consciousness and the body, mind, sense complex. The problem that it's created is that whereas the nature of I is consciousness, and consciousness is formless, limitless, and therefore ideally I should have knowledge about myself that I am limitless. That is the knowledge I should have had about myself. But because of associated the body, mind, sense complex, I feel that I am conscious being all right, but limited. Limited to the body, limited to the mind, limited to sense organs. And therefore, I have the notion that I am a limited entity. Alright. If that notion or conclusion did not create any problem, there is no problem. Unfortunately, this conclusion on my part, or the notion or opinion on my part that I am limited, causes all the problems in my life. It makes me an unhappy person. All sorrow, all unhappiness, all sadness in our life arises from only one simple reason, and that is my notion that I am a limited being. That I and limitedness, even though they are not in the same location, the limitedness belongs to the body, mind, sense complex, and the formlessness, limitlessness belongs to I, the consciousness. But just as iron and fire seem to assume each other's attributes, so also the consciousness I and the body, mind, sense complex, which is comparable to a costume. Like an actor wearing a costume. The actor may be a multimillionaire and he may be playing a role of a beggar. At that time, wears a costume of a beggar, which is fine, as long as there is awareness on the part of the actor that I am actor and the beggar is a costume, there is no problem. As long as that viveka jnanam or that distinctive knowledge is there that the actor I is separate from the costume that is beggar, no problem. He can very effectively act as a beggar. He can bring out real tears. He can do much more than what a regular beggar can do because he has studied a number of beggars. Not only that, but as a result of acting as a beggar, he is going to be a more richer person, So that he doesn't mind acting as beggar. A problem only would arise if for some reason, if on account of some stresses, he had won too many before going to the stage. And for some reason, he looks at before going to the stage, he has put on the costume of the beggar, and from green room he comes to the stage. Before that there is a huge mirror, and he looks at the mirror and sees a beggar in there. Because of the problem in the mind, if he concludes that I am a beggar, then all problems are there. He suffers now from this notion, I'm a beggar. And beggar has all kinds of impoverishments, all kinds of problems. They all become his problems. Even though in reality that is not so. It's interesting how he does not have to be a real beggar to suffer from the problems of a beggar. All that is necessary is for him to conclude that I am a beggar. That is enough for him to suffer from all the problems of beggar. So the consciousness does not have to be limited to feel limited. All that is necessary is a notion on my part that I am limited. Limited is body, mind, sense complex. That's all I am. I'm one among many, separate from everybody else. And thus I suffer from a sense of isolation, sense of being attacked, sense of fear, insecurity, all kinds of problems. So therefore, since for the human being, the only reason causing unhappiness in human being is this conclusion that I am limited. Understand that in our life, there is no reason other than the sense of limitedness. No other reason is there for us to feel sad or unhappy. No other reason. You may say, Swami, I lost my job. This happened to me. This happened to that. You may say anything. But if you knew that you are limitless, nothing would affect you at all. Just as a beggar is begging on the stage, he is insulted by people, he is ignored by people, he is sometimes thrashed by people, all kinds of things are done to him. As long as he knows that all of that belongs to the role and doesn't belong to me, nothing affects him, is it not so? Similarly, as long as we know that all gains and losses, all honor and dishonor, all praise and censure, all success and failure, all of that belongs only to the costume of the body, mind, sense complex, and that in and through all of them, I'm ever limitless, I'm ever free, ever unaffected, and all those happenings would not have any effect on me at all. This is a very simple solution to all the problems of human being. There are no all the problems. Only one problem is there. Human being has just one problem. What's the problem? Sadness. Call it sadness, sorrow, unhappiness, grief, whatever you call it. The only problem human being has, there is no other problem. Others are all situations. That somebody insulted me is a situation. Somebody praised me, situation. Somebody honored me, situation. Dishonored me, events. Just as the beggar is begging on the stage, all kinds of events are there. As long as he is aware of his identity, those events do not affect him. He can enjoy those events. Our Swami used to say that he brings out real tears. Inside his mind, he congratulates himself, how nice, how I bring out real tears. He does something with those tear glands and he's able to do that. He congratulates himself, even though outwardly he appears to be crying. So also, human being would always congratulate himself. Atmaneva Atmana Tushta. He would be completely satisfied by himself, with himself. If he had this simple knowledge that I am limitless, which happens to his nature. Just as that actor does not have to become a multimillionaire, he has to know that I am multimillionaire. So also human being doesn't have to become limitless just to know that I am limitless. So with this in mind, the 13th chapter was started. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramidya vijayate. He kaunteya, he Arjuna, this body, meaning this body, mind, sense complex, is kshetram, is the object of knowledge, is non-self. Etadyo vetitam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. One who is aware of this body, mind, sense complex, meaning that there are two entities here. One is a knower, other is a known. One is a subject, other is a. So, this body, mind, sense complex, is it subject or object? And let's say object. Then, who is the subject? The one known I is a subject. So here right now, this is what we call the confusion or mixture or union or identification of the subject and the object. So subject has to be known as subject and object has to be known as object. Simple thing. It's called Druk Drishya Viveka. Separation of Druk and Drishya, subject and object. So Lord Krishna said this body, the sense organs, Mahabhutani, Ahankara, Buddhi, Avyaktamevacha, Indriyani, Dashaikancha, Panchachendriya Gochara, Ichha, Dvesha, all of this is object. Your body is object of your knowledge. Sense organs are object of your knowledge. Mind is object of your knowledge. Intellect is the object of your knowledge. Who are you? You are the knower. You are the subject. So then Lord Krishna also describes what the problem is. Purusha prakrutistho hi bhungte prakrutijan gunan. Sometimes, here, Lord Krishna uses two words, subject and object, kshetrajna and kshetra, or purusha and prakriti. Other two words known is purusha and prakriti. Purusha, the consciousness. Prakriti, the personality. The person and the personality. So each one of us is a union of the person and the personality, the actor and the costume, the subject and the object, the self and non-self, person and personality. Purusha prakrutistho hi bhungte prakrutijan gunan. What is happening is, just as the actor, on account of identification with his costume, the actor by nature is a multimillionaire or a billionaire, who knows? And the costume is beggar. But on account of identification with the costume, the actor takes himself to be a beggar and suffers from a sense of beggar. And so also the person, the consciousness, the limitless, on account of identification with his body, mind, sense complex, takes himself to be a limited being. Purusha prakrutistho hi. The Purusha, the person, the self, identified with Prakriti, identified with the personality, identified with the costume, looks upon himself as a limited being. You know what happens is, moment I feel a sense of limitedness, immediately I feel inadequate within myself. I feel I'm inadequate, I'm incomplete. And moment I feel inadequate, that is immediately an impulse of becoming adequate. I cannot accept myself as an inadequate being. I cannot accept myself as a limited being. Moment that arises in me, a sense of being limited, right away there is an impulse to become free from that sense of limitedness. The moment I feel I am inadequate, there is an impulse of becoming free from sense of inadequacy. Meaning that I and limited cannot live together. I and inadequate cannot live together. Just as the actor and the beggar cannot live together. When things are beggar, cannot live together. So constantly, therefore, we have these desires. What's the desire? To become adequate, to become free from all limitations. So there is a desire to become free. There is the innate desire in every human being, and that is to become free. Free from what? Free from the sense of being limited. Free from the sense of being inadequate. That is all right. Then you try to become adequate. So, if you look at all our activities, all the endeavors and all activities that we carry out, we'll find that all of them are motivated by just one desire, and that is the desire to become free. Free from sense of limitedness, free from dependence, free from helplessness, free from inadequacy. And that is all that we are doing. Unfortunately, regardless of what we do, regardless of what we achieve, regardless of what we become. So I was not a particularly well-to-do person. I became a well-to-do person. I became a wealthy person. I became a billionaire. But still, I did not become free from the sense of inadequacy or sense of limitedness. Formerly, I was unknown. Then I became known. Then I became well known. I became famous. And still did not become free from the sense of inadequacy. Regardless of what I become, I do not seem to become free from a sense of limitedness or inadequacy. Any amount of effort on my part does not seem to make me free. Something similar to the situation of the 10th man. Like the 10 boys went for a picnic. They swam across a river, and the leader decided to verify if they all reached safely. He asked his friends to line up. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then he said, wait a minute, we were 10 when we left. How come we are 9? He counts again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. However he counts, the count is 9. He calls one of his friends. Look, I must be making a mistake in counting. You please come forward and count. That fellow also, studying in the same school, he came forward. This fellow joined the line. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Each one of them came forward one by one. Each one of them counted 9. Now they are convinced that the 10th boy is lost. Now, they cannot live with the idea that the 10th boy is lost. They cannot say, okay, that doesn't matter. No, they cannot stay with that idea. They have to find him. And thus the search begins with the motivation of searching for the 10th boy. Naturally, they cannot find him. They searched for the whole day, could not find him. Fortunately for them, one elderly gentleman happened to pass by the place where they had assembled. and saw that all the children were very sad, asked them, hey, what's the matter? Why are you all sad? The leader got up and told you the story that one of us is lost. How did you come to conclusion that one of us is lost? We counted them. How did we count them? He demonstrated. Our friends line up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, there are only 9. Don't worry, my children. I know where the 10th boy is. You know? Yes, I know. Have you seen him? Yes, I have seen him. At least they are all relieved that now the 10th boy is there someplace. That is getting. All the anxieties and worries are gone. But where is he? Count again. Carefully. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where is the 10th boy? You are the 10th boy. That's how tube light happened in his mind. I'm the 10th boy. So this is the teaching of Vedanta. That you are trying to become limitless, trying to become adequate, trying to become free. So you are searching for freedom in wealth, name, fame, recognition, etc. Searching for freedom, searching for happiness, searching for peace, searching for adequacy, searching for satisfaction. Seems to come and go away. I do feel a bit satisfied. When I get a new job, I'm happy. How long? Perhaps 3 months? For 1 month? Then all the pressures of the new job, then they come to you, and then that excitement then goes away. Then I work hard for promotion. Then I get promotion after 3 years. I'm very happy. Again that excitement lasts for a period of time, goes away. Doesn't matter what you get. If you win a lottery, $365 million, and that's kind of, this huge jackpots of $365 million, what is that? That's just crazy. $365 million? In our times it was $1 million, our days in America. When we came to US, $1 million is a lot of money. $365 million, $467 million. So let's get that kind of a jackpot. I think he'll have a heart attack. In case he survives that shock, then he'll be flying in the sky for some time. Then he'll settle down there. $467 million. Okay. 1 day, 2 days, 6 months, 1 year, the excitement will last. Then ultimately you get used to it. What next? The question of what next will always remain. This poor human being is constantly striving to gain what we call a lasting satisfaction. There are momentary satisfactions, no doubt. There are excitements. What he's searching for is a lasting satisfaction. Doesn't seem to get. Like 10th boy also. Hey, I thought I saw the 10th boy, somebody says, They look, have you seen some boy who is lost? Yes, we saw somebody behind that hill. So there is a hope there. They go and it looks like, yes. Then they go close to him, somebody else. Thus in our life also, we keep on achieving one goal after the other. But that lasting sense of satisfaction does not come because nothing in the universe is capable of giving us that. It has come from our own self, and it happens to ourselves. Only thing is knowledge to recognize that limitlessness is my nature. Purushaha prakristoi bhungte prakritijan gunan. Lord Krishna says, because of ignorance of the true nature of his own self, he is identified with his costume and looks upon himself as a limited being, and then wants happiness and peace and everywhere, keeps on striving, performing karma, takes next birth to result, for experience the result, again performs karma, and that's how the life goes on. You know something? Because of that, the whole universe is created only because of that. If he did not have the sense of limitation, if he did not have the desire to become limitless, the universe would not have been necessary. The universe is created simply to satisfy our desires. Ishvara has created the universe to satisfy our desires. Simple desire. What is it? A cup of tea. Simple desire to have a cup of tea. The other day I was invited for a lecture series. Before the lecture, they offered me a cup of tea. Somebody brought the tea. I said, where did you get the tea from? So we get it from that kettle. Oh, the tea kettle produces tea? He says, no, Swami, it's filled in there. It comes from the kitchen. Your kitchen has some kind of tea machine? No, Swami, you have to prepare tea. How to prepare tea? You need water, and then you have milk, and then some spices are there, and then sugar is there, and then tea is there, and then boil the whole thing. Set for a while. That's tea. Oh. So for tea you require milk? As I said, yeah, of course, Swamiji. Where does the milk come from? From the refrigerator. Your refrigerator produces milk? No, Swami, it comes from the store. Store is some kind of machine? No, it comes from a dairy. How does dairy get milk? From the cow. How does cow produce milk? Well, cow eats grass. How does grass grow? It grows on the earth. You require seeds, you require rain, sun, air, earth, 5 elements for grass. Oh, so for milk you require dairy, for dairy you require cow, for cow you require grass, for grass you require earth and water and fire and air and space and sun and the moon, and this sun is a part of the solar system, that is part of a galaxy, that's part of the... So that's how you look at this one thing, you realize that you need the whole universe. Just tracing milk, trace sugar, trace tea leaves, trace the fuel. When you trace, you find that for 1 cup of tea, what do you need? The whole universe is required. Is it not so? So somebody must have thought the Swami is going to require a cup of tea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a given Friday. So he planned everything. He had petroleum in the earth. The petroleum also is the carbon, the result of what? All the trees that must have been compressed, and and so trees must be there, and then all kinds of fevers must be there, and they all went down, and then there was millions and billions of years must have gone into preparation for what? 1 cup of tea. Is it not so? So you can imagine, just for fulfilling our desire alone, the whole universe is. No desire, no universe necessary. So that's how creation comes. We say that Ishvara creates the universe. For what? For all this, fulfilling the desires of the living beings. So that's how the 13th chapter traced the cause. That because this Purusha, the person, the consciousness, has ignorance, just as the actor has ignorance, because of which he identifies this costume, and whereas in nature he is a multimillionaire, he takes himself to be a beggar. And so also this person, the self, the consciousness, who is limitless in nature on account of identification with this costume, takes himself to be a limited being. You know what identification is? Because of identification, we become something else. become what we are not. Sometimes while watching the movie, we become so identified with what's going on the screen that we forget our own identity and become one with that actor. Because I'm a favorite actor, I've gone to watch that movie and I'm watching him and identify. Before I realize I lose myself. He's laughing, I start laughing. He's crying, I start crying. His wife has left him and he's crying. This fellow is crying here. His wife is sitting beside him, but he's still crying. Because of identification, he becomes someone different from what he is. So also, the actor, because of identification, as though becomes a beggar. So also the self, because of identification, as though becomes a limited being. So, 13th chapter gives what we call the Viveka discrimination between the subject and the object. Same theme is continued in the 14th chapter. What we need is the Viveka Jnanam. Viveka means to separate. The two things are so intimately mixed with each other that they look like one. Then we need to separate them in our mind. Just as we separate the iron and fire in our mind, so also we need to separate the self from the non-self in the mind. And for that, you should know what the characteristics of iron are, what the characteristics of fire are. You know, this belongs to fire, this belongs to iron. You know, the iron is round in shape, so in the fireball, the round shape belongs to iron. You know, the fire is red and hot, so in the fireball, the red color and heat belong to fire. So also here, this limitedness all belongs to the personality, and person is the limitless. How to separate the limitless from the limited? So that is the Viveka. So in 14th chapter, this is what Lord Krishna is going to do. So let us take this handout, the page 2, the selected verses, they begin. I will read the first verse, you repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñātvā munayas sarve Param siddhimito gataha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The 14th chapter, as you know, Bhagavad Gita is the dialogue between Lord Krishna, is called Bhagavan. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, that is that Bhagavan refers to Lord Krishna. Because he is Bhagavan, he is God. So this is our belief, a Shraddha, that God or Lord Himself takes the incarnation. So Lord Krishna is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, what we call Brahman, the limitless. So Brahman or the limitless takes incarnation. In this case, in the form of Lord Krishna. Many incarnations are called avatara in Sanskrit. Incarnation is called avatara. There's a movie also, isn't it? Avatara. Yeah. Although I did not find an incarnation in there, but there was something else there. So many incarnations are well known. Perhaps the most well known incarnation is that of Lord Krishna. Why does the Lord incarnate? He himself explains, the 4th chapter. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya duskrutam yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyam. Lord Krishna says that whenever dharma or righteousness declines, adharma or unrighteousness becomes powerful. Adharma or unrighteousness becomes so powerful that the dharma or the righteousness becomes incapable of sustaining the harmony in the society. All kinds of evil forces or devilish forces become very powerful and they disrupt the society. Then human beings cannot live in peace and harmony. There is nothing but misery and unhappiness. So idea is that as long as dharma prevails, as long as righteousness prevails in society, so long people will be happy. So happiness is not necessarily a function of the material prosperity. It's good to have material prosperity, no doubt about that. But that is, the comfort is the result of material prosperity. Happiness is the result of the righteousness, dharma. Person, righteousness means he speaks truth. He does not steal. He is compassionate. He is kind. He is charitable, etc. So it's called dharma or righteousness. Basically what righteousness is, I should treat others as I like to be treated. Simple rule. I should avoid treating others as I would not like to be treated. I should not treat others as I would not like to be treated. And I should treat others as I would like to be treated. Simple. When that becomes more and more difficult, when we become greedy and we become passionate and lustful and angry and greedy and jealous, then it becomes more and more difficult to be sensitive to others, sensitive to the feelings of the others, sensitive to the needs of the others. Person becomes more insensitive and that's how becomes violent because it doesn't feel anything. In trampling upon the rights of others, in hurting sentiments of others, he doesn't feel anything at all. That's how, because this callousness, the violence comes. Adharma comes, unrighteousness comes. Violence prevails, anger prevails, greed prevails, corruption prevails. And everybody makes everybody else miserable. There is the hurt parampara of misery. So when that happens, meaning when dharma is not able to maintain a harmony in the society, otherwise Lord doesn't have to do anything. If dharma or righteousness prevails, so long he can afford to sleep in his Kshetrasagar, on his serpent bed, and he can sleep. Meaning God is not required to do anything here. Dharma is quite capable of maintaining harmony in the society. Then dharma becomes weak, adharma becomes powerful, evil forces become powerful, then dharma is no more capable of maintaining harmony. Then he has to come down to set things right. So basically avatara or incarnation is meant to set things right. He has to come and set things right. That's the incarnation. does he do that? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkrutam. You have to protect those who follow dharma and destroy those who are antagonistic to dharma. So dharma should be destroyed and dharma should be nourished and protected. That's what Lord Krishna did. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, and most important thing that Lord Krishna did was to impart the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. In our opinion, that is the most, because that's the lasting thing. Other things, the Bhagavan also came and went, and then he was again comes and goes, that goes on. But this teaching is everlasting teaching. So Lord Krishna is imparting this teaching to Arjuna. Thus Bhagavad Gita is the dialogue between none other than Lord Krishna. Bhagavan means Lord Krishna himself, Lord himself, who is Lord omniscient, all-knowing, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. That's the reason why we look upon these words as the valid means of knowledge. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So he begins this discourse in the 14th chapter. The chapter begins with this statement of Lord Krishna. See, Arjuna is a disciple, Lord Krishna is the teacher. And the general rule is that the teacher should only give this discourse when asked by the disciple. A student should ask, in response to that, the teacher should teach. But here, so there is a famous statement in the Manusmriti, Na prushtah kasyachit bruyat, says, if you are not asked for, then you should not impart this teaching to anybody. Nacha nyayena pruchyatah, just because somebody asks you, but you feel that it is not really, he does not mean what he is asking. Sometimes you ask to find out, whether this fellow knows or not. Some people are professional questioners. So they have some set of questions. And every audience they go, see what is, this question is answered this way by this person. Same, this person says this, that person says that. And so he judges, who knows, who does not know. So he's not interested in answering the question, he's interested in testing these people. Lord, he says that if you find somebody is asking for the sake of asking, or his intention is not to know, intention is something else, then also you are not obliged to tell him. You should pose as though you don't know. You ask the question as though you don't know. Then you are all right. But sometimes the teacher knows what the student needs to know. And therefore, without even the students asking, if the teacher discovers that he needs to know for his own well-being, then teacher himself takes the initiative to tell him. So thus in many chapters of Bhagavad Gita, you find Lord Krishna himself initiating the discourse, because he realized that these questions must have arisen in the mind of Arjuna, or Arjuna should know this. So therefore, Lord Krishna says, Param bhuyah pravakshami. Bhuyah, once again, pravakshami, I will tell you. I will tell you once again. And remember, see these words. Bhuyah, once again, pravakshami, I will tell you. Prakarshena vakshami. Not only I will tell you, but I will tell you up to a point where all your doubts will be cleared. See, vakshami means I will tell you. To that one prefix is added pra. Prakarshena vakshami. I will tell you in an excellent manner. Here Arjuna, I will tell you in such a manner that you will know what you need to know. Meaning that here the teacher is not satisfied merely by giving a discourse. The teacher wants to make sure that the student understands what is communicated. The teacher finds that he is not understood, say again, not understood in some other way. And therefore, very often we find there is a lot of repetition also. Not because it's just a repetition. Teacher feels that he is not yet understood. So he repeats sometimes in different words. You can different examples you give until the student understands. So pravakshami, I will tell you until you understand. Prakashena vakshami, in an excellent way I will tell you. Bhuyah pravakshami, I will again tell you. Meaning that what Lord Krishna is saying in this chapter is not something new. This is what he has been saying all along in previous chapters. Because there is only one thing to know. What is to know? Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Teacher has to say only one thing, Tattvamasi, that thou art, you are limitless. That's only one thing he has to say. And the student has only one thing to know, I am limitless. So when we went to study with our Puja Swamiji many years ago in Bombay, on the fourth day he told us this Vakya, Tattvamasi, that thou art, you are Brahman. And says, look, at the end of the course also, after 2.5 years, I will be saying the same thing. Today I am saying this, that you are limitless. After 2.5 years also, I will say the same thing. Because nothing else to say. You get bored, don't you get bored? Hearing the same thing? No, that's the beauty about this. You never get bored. You never get bored to listen to your own glory. That's the beauty about it. So the subject matter of Vedanta is our own self. And Vedanta is one place where we are told that you are limitless, you are good, you are whole, you are complete, you are beautiful, you are wonderful. The rest of the world keeps on telling how stupid you are, how useless you are. That's what we hear elsewhere. There's one place where we hear that you are all right, as you are. You are beautiful, you are complete. And so, the teacher sees the beauty in us that we also may not see, because the self happens to be beautiful. So, Bhuyaha, this is what Lord Krishna said earlier also to Arjuna. The self is limitless, ever free, of the nature of consciousness, of the nature of Ananda, Satchit Ananda, existence, awareness, happiness, wholeness. Bhuyaha pravakshami. Again I will tell you. Why do you tell me again? Because the teacher finds that he still has not quite grasped it. He has not become abiding in that nature, in the knowledge. So here the teacher is concerned. Teacher is concerned about the disciple. The only agenda the teacher has is how to help the disciple become free from all pain and suffering. How to help the disciple become free from all sense of limitation. How to set the disciple free from bondage. Then you can do what you want to do. Until that happens, he keeps on going and going on with it. Can you imagine? This dialogue is taking place in the midst of a battlefield. And these two people have forgotten that they are in a battlefield. Everybody else is waiting. When is this dialogue going to get over? When the battle will begin? So they must be all excited. These people are completely impervious to what is around them. Can you imagine that such a profound dialogue is taking place? in a most unexpected place. This kind of profound dialogue requires a very profound environment. Requires the bank of Ganges, some caves of the mountain, some forests and ashrams, where there is tranquility, there is purity, there is peace, where there is freedom from all distractions and disturbances. That is where this kind of teaching can be imparted and should be imparted. But Lord Krishna has revolutionized. What is to be done in Aranya, means forest, is brought in Rana or battlefield. Because life is like a battlefield. And you have to know, while the conflicts are all going on, this teaching is meant to resolve all our conflicts. And therefore, Lord Krishna, Bhuyaha, again I will tell you. Otherwise, normally in a place like that, you will tell him once and then, start the battle, the most important thing. Again I will tell you. Again I will tell you. Bhuyaha pravakshami, again I will tell you. What to tell me? Param jnananam jnanam uttamam. Param jnanam pravakshami. Jnanam means knowledge. Param means supreme. Here, Arjuna, I will impart to you the supreme knowledge. What is supreme knowledge? What makes knowledge supreme? What makes knowledge most exalted? It is the subject matter of knowledge. Because the self is supreme, self is limitless, self is consciousness, and that is supreme. Therefore, so param jnanam, the knowledge. So there are two words used here by Lord Krishna. See, those who can see the Sanskrit, param bhuya pravakshami jnananam jnanam uttamam. Uttamam. See the word meaning? Uttamam, the most exalted, right? Param. Param means what? The ultimate. So ultimate and most, so two adjectives are used for jnanam. Param jnanam, uttamam jnanam. Param, the ultimate knowledge. Uttamam, the most exalted knowledge. There is not much difference between most exalted and ultimate. But then, one refers to the subject matter, one refers to the result of the knowledge. What is subject matter of knowledge? The self, the truth, the reality. What is the self also is the truth about the life. Is also the reality of life. You know that everybody is in search of the truth in the life. Like all scientists also are in search of truth in their own way. Some very nice statements I read about what science and the science and the religion. How do the true scientists, many of the most exalted scientists, the Nobel laureate, but also spiritual people. And therefore they also believed in God. They realize that there is no way that science can tell us anything about the creator of the universe. The science cannot tell us anything about the creator. And the kind of models they have of creation cannot explain the creation. The questions are asked. When they really look at this universe of us, on this planet Earth, the life on the earth, the most wonderful thing is that so many variables really adjusted themselves in such a manner that life was possible. The exact distance from the sun, an exact kind of forces, exact kind of elements, everything was just perfect. If things were one way, a little bit here and there, then the earth would have been different from what it is. So everything is perfect, and that is what made the life possible on the planet Earth. It's a miracle, it's a wonder. You can't say that this stupid evolution theory can create all this wonder, that just this natural selection can create this kind of wonder that everything is perfect. How did the consciousness arise? How did the perfect conditions get established? Unless somebody did it. Unless somebody deliberated and did it, this cannot happen. So all of these things point out to a creator, an intelligent, omniscient creator. So true scientists recognize this. You cannot prove God, but this definitely, the creation points to a creator. And so the knowledge of the creator, that's what the religion, that's what Vedanta gives us. So this is a knowledge of the supreme reality. And what does knowledge do to you? That knowledge makes you limitless. That knowledge makes you perfect. When it reveals the fact that you are limitless, you are perfect. That knowledge makes you free from all sense of limitation. That knowledge enables you to establish in your nature of limitlessness or ananda or happiness or wholeness. So knowledge itself is great and the result also is great. Because there are many great knowledges. There is knowledge of relativity, all these are great things to know. So what? Suppose you know, so what happens to you? Doesn't mean that you get promotion, doesn't mean you get next meal. It doesn't do anything to you. So knowledge can be pertaining to knowledge can be something great, but the outcome of the knowledge may not be anything. The outcome may be great, but the thing may not be great. Here, the subject matter of knowledge also is great, and the result also is great. Therefore, two adjectives are used: param jnanam, uttamam jnanam. Param because the subject matter is great, exalted, limitless, Ishvara, God or Self, and because the result also is great, moksha, liberation, freedom. Therefore, the two adjectives. Again, this has been told earlier, again I will tell you. Jnananam uttamam jnanam. There are many forms of knowledge. Knowledge of physics is there, and chemistry is there, and astrology is there, and all kinds of, branches of knowledge are there. Among all of them, uttamam, this is the most exalted knowledge among all the knowledge. So the Upanishad recognizes that in our life there is two forms of knowledge. Knowledge of the subject and knowledge of the object. Knowledge of spirit and knowledge of matter. So dve vidye, veditavye. Two forms of knowledge are there. They are called paravidya, aparavidya. Vidya means knowledge. Paravidya, knowledge of the supreme, of the limitless. Aparavidya, knowledge of the inferior. Superior knowledge, inferior knowledge. Or knowledge of the superior, knowledge of the inferior. Knowledge of the spirit, knowledge of the matter. So this is Jnananam Jnanamuttamam. Among all forms of knowledge, this is the most exalted knowledge. Because other forms of knowledge just leave you incomplete. You know something, more you know. As far as the knowledge, the worldly knowledge is concerned, more you know, more you realize what you do not know. Everybody who is really humble, he knows. Every true scholar knows what he does not know. There was a great sage, his name was Bhartruhari. He says, when I knew so little, I thought I knew everything. When I really learned something, I realized what all I did not know. Meaning that all of the knowledge leaves you incomplete. So what you need is what they call the Tarana Vidya. Remember Tarana Vidya? It's all right to know everything, but then, like the story we told you about this great scholar, learned person who wants to cross the river. So he hires a boat and the boatman is taking him across the river. The river is very wide and it's going to take about half an hour to reach the other shore. So this Vidwan, this scholar, picks up a dialogue with this fellow because he is a talker, he has to talk to somebody. So this only boatman is there. So he asks him, hey, did you study, did you learn how to sing? You learn music? He says, what music? Only music I know is to just scream and shout, that's all I know. No music. You don't know music? Oh, it's very sad. 1/4 of your life is gone. 1/4 of my life is wasted? He says, yes. After a little while he asks him, have you studied literature? You study Kalidasa? Who is Kalidasa? Who is? I never heard of this. I can't even say 1, 2, I never went to school. Oh, you never studied anything? No literature? Another 1/4 of your life is gone. Wow, half of my life is gone? After a while again he asks him, hey, do you know painting? What painting? You know sculpture? What sculpture? Don't know any art? No art. In Sanskrit there is a saying, Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihina Sakshat Pashuhu Puchha Vishanahina. Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihina. The one who is devoid of Sahitya literature, Sangeeta music and Kala the art, he is no different from an animal. What an animal? Puchha Vishanahina. An animal without puchha means tail and horns. He is animal in this form. That is, he says, Turanna khadandapi jivamana tad bhagadayam paramam pasunam. This animal, he lives even without eating grass. This animal does not need grass to survive. And that is the great fortune of all other animals, that he doesn't eat away grass. They would not get anything. And so the person who is devoid of the Sahitya, Sangeeta, Kala, he has wasted his life. You wasted 3/4 of your life. Poor boatman became very nervous. I wasted 3/4 of my life. Unfortunately, a flash flood came in the river and the boats, became unstable. The water started coming into the boat and boat started sinking. And so boatman asked this man, do you know swimming? He says, no. Whole of your life is gone. Swimming is the Tarana Vidya, the knowledge that enables you to cross. If you don't have that knowledge, all of the knowledge is useless. Similarly, all the knowledge that we may have of literature and music and this and that and all kinds of things, if you don't have this knowledge, it doesn't do anything. Therefore, jnananam jnanamuttamam, other forms of knowledge leave you more and more dissatisfied. This is one form of knowledge that gives you total satisfaction. So with this introduction, Lord Krishna begins the 14th chapter of the Gita. We will continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnama Vashishyate